All right, what's up, guys? Back some more videos, and in today's video, we're about 5 days away from the Chicago Pro, and this is going to be a really cool, really interesting show to watch because we have one particular guy, Nick Walker, making his pro debut, and honestly, man, like he's actually one of the front runners to win the show. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about this guy turning pro literally like 2.5 months ago at this point, to now competing in his first pro show and potentially winning, qualifying him for his first Olympia in December. So that's freaking wacky. But he has to get over Akim Williams. He has to get over Justin Luis Rodriguez. Like, there's a lot of really good pros that he has to beat. Now, I want to do a comparison between him and Akim Williams because I feel like Akim is one of his biggest threats. Like, Akim, in terms of just muscle size, matches him, if not beat him in some shots. Akim's a really big guy. Akim is not anyone to play around with. So in this video, we're going to do a comparison between Nick Walker and Akim Williams. Now, I wasn't able to find every single photo of Nick because for some reason, first of all, I'm going by his last competitive showing, which was at the North Americans where he turned pro. And I'm going by Akim's last showing, which is actually the Arnold Classic of 2020. In the North Americans, I couldn't find a side tricep. I couldn't find a rear lat spread. I couldn't find a front lat spread. So there are a couple poses here that are missing. And I didn't want to use footage or photos of Nick Walker from last year because, I mean, he is just a different bodybuilder. Like the Nick Walker we have in 2020 is a different Nick Walker than was in 2019. So I don't think it would have been fair to have a 2019 Nick Walker against a 2020 Akim Williams. But anyway, so first up, this isn't really a pose. I mean, Nick isn't even in it. This is probably the closest thing we can get to a front lat spread. Now, Nick is looking down and lats aren't even out, but this is the only photo they had available on the NPC website. By the way, all these photos are from the NPC News Online website, so shout out to them. In terms of like this photo, obviously Akim has way better structure. Nick downstairs looks bigger. I mean, Akim, he has some really big legs. Akim has really massive freaking legs, but from this photo here, Nick does seem to be a bit bigger quad wise, but honestly Akim's shape is looking really good. Now I do have to say that these photos aren't perfectly to scale. I tried to scale them the best I could to make it accurate in terms of size. I didn't want Nick Walker looking bigger than Akim or vice versa, so I tried to scale them as best as I possibly can. But honestly here, I mean, this isn't even a pose, man, so I'm not even gonna like say who wins this or whatever else. Like, it's just something cool to compare. But let's actually get into the very first pose, which is the front double bicep. And front double bicep, now this is a little tricky because there's two ways to look at this. We have an aesthetic guy versus kind of a mass monster kind of guy. Now Akim in his own right is a mass monster, but he actually brings really pleasing lines, really pleasing aesthetics to the stage. Really small waist, really big, massive flaring lats. But you cannot deny Nick Walker's size. Now, Akim matches up relatively well because Akim is not a small guy either. Like, Akim has arms to match. Akim has quads to match. It kind of depends who you like more, honestly. But in terms of just like, from what I know bodybuilding criteria are going to be, I feel like they might give it a bit more to Nick because he's filling out the pose a bit more. And what I mean by filling out the pose, that he just looks more massive. Like, from the quads, from the calves up, Nick is filling out the calves more. He has more quad flare. His waist is thicker, but he's elongating it so it's not as noticeable. I feel like Akim does have wider lats, but in terms of just overall filling out the pose, Nick is probably doing it a little bit better. So I feel like he might take this pose, although I do prefer Akim a bit more because he's more aesthetic. They have similar quad separation. I feel like Nick quads, at least in this pose, is a bit bigger. So I think I'm going to give this to Nick, just based off of what I know bodybuilding criteria is to be. So yeah. Moving on, like I said, there's no side tricep. I couldn't find one, so we're going to go into the... Well, sorry, there's no front lats, but I couldn't find one, so we're going to go into the side chest. Now, this is interesting. I prefer Nick Walker's upper body, but I prefer Akim's lower body. I feel like Akim honestly has way better glutes, way better quads, way better hams from the side. Now, I've seen Akim look way better than this. This is not the best version of Akim in this pose. I've seen him look better at this particular show at the Arnold. His glutes were way better in some poses, so I guess this is probably one of those photos where, he wasn't really fully in the pose. But, from this look here, man, So Akim delt, his rear delt is popping a bit more, but I do love how Nick is presenting his chest. His opposite arm is, kind of a bit more raised, giving more detail in the opposite pec there. I do prefer Nick's arms. I do prefer Akim's shoulders. I do prefer Akim legs. I don't know, man. I mean, the pose is called a side chest, although other body parts are involved. But when you talk about the chest itself, I feel like Nick is doing a better job at showing the chest, just a better presentation. I feel like on that basis alone, I gotta kind of give it to Nick, although I do prefer Akim's lower body actually way more, to be honest. Like, even from the calves. I just feel like Nick is executing it a bit better than Akim, so I gotta give it to Nick, man. Like, I just have to do it. No side tricep, unfortunately, so we're gonna go right into the back delt bicep, and this is where this is everything. This is a make or break pose for both of them. I'm sure you guys see what I see. Nick wins. I don't even gotta go into detail. I don't even have to like talk about it too much, but if you want me to, then I will. Nick's biceps, at least in this pose, is a bit more peakier. I feel like his shoulders into his rhomboids, into his lats, into the lower lat insertion, into the traps. I mean, it is such a complete back. The back is not missing anything, bro. When you go over to Akim now, no lower lat detail at all, no lower back detail at all. He has big biceps, but you can't really appreciate the peaks in comparison to Nick Walker. Now, Nick Walker does have some really big peaks, but so does Akim. I just feel like Akim's not doing himself that much justice with how he's hitting it. Akim's arms aren't exactly out and open. If you look at like Nick and then kind of look back at Akim, kind of go back and forth, you can see Nick's arms are a bit more out. His elbows are kind of higher. Akim kind of has this like, almost like straight line in terms of the elbow to shoulder, whereas Nick's elbow is raised a bit higher, which I feel accentuates his V-taper a bit more. Although Akim does have a better V-taper, I do prefer Nick's V-taper from the back, surprisingly. When you go downstairs, man, Nick's glutes are bigger, adductors are bigger, inner thighs are bigger, hamstrings are bigger, which is actually freaking wild, man. Like I said, I tried to scale this as best I could. Akim is not small. Akim has massive freaking glutes, man, massive freaking hamstrings. But if you notice Akim's stance, he has a really, really wide stance in the rear back double bicep. Versus Nick, I mean, Nick is almost textbook. Like, his stance isn't super wide. Like, it's good enough to where you get some hamstring pop, you appreciate the calves. Akim's stance is so wide where it takes away all of his inner thigh detail. It takes away from the hamstring thickness that he would otherwise have. And the wider he is, the more gap he has to fill out. So honestly, man, like, this is a really losing pose for Akim. Nick takes this, no questions. Like, presentation is better, more muscularity through the back itself, more detailed muscularity through the hamstrings and legs. I mean, I'm sorry, bro, but like Nick kills him. Like, it's not even a contest, bro. Like, Nick just destroys him, to be fair. Akim could drastically improve if he just improved the presentation, close the gap between the legs, raise the elbows a bit higher, and that honestly is like 50% better. But we haven't seen it from Akim yet, so I can't really count that. Now, last pose we have here is hands together, the most muscular. And like I said before, I do prefer Akim's lines a bit better, like the pleasing tone of the skin, the way his muscles so bubbly. But if I'm going by like bodybuilding criteria and taking my complete bias out of it, I think Nick beats him. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, Nick is insane, man. Like I said, I try my best to scale this to where they are, pretty much same height. Although, Akim is a bit taller, so this isn't that accurate. I mean, but I mean, Nick just looks insane. Abs are thick and big. Chest is big, arms and delts and freaking legs downstairs. I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of Nick Walker's physique. Like, I'm not Like I'm way more biased to Akim. Like I way prefer Akim's. I way more prefer Akim's physique. Like if you ask me who I want to look like, I want to look more like Akim. But when you talk about just being unbiased and looking at two physiques and picking them apart, Nick beats him everywhere. Now we didn't look at the side tricep. We didn't look at the rear lat spread, the front lat spread. So there's a couple poses that are missing because they weren't available in terms of this particular show that Nick was at. But I feel like Nick wins. I mean, I'm sorry, but like Nick literally beat him everywhere. Akim maybe had him on the side chest because his lower body was so good. But other than that, like it really isn't that crazy of a contest. I mean, it's a contest, like, you know, it's not like Nick just walking away with it, but like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, Akim, I don't know. Like, I don't see Akim standing next to the guy. Like when you go, you know, literally pose for pose, like this is Akim's most recent showing and probably his best showing. Like honestly, I think this is Akim's maybe his best physique ever. Like he was as on as we've ever seen Akim. You know, so I'm not picking like horrible shots of Akim. Like this is the HD professional photos that are available. I don't know, man. Nick wins. Like it's just what I think, man. Nick wins. So down below, guys, let me know what you think. If you have Nick Walker winning, if you have Akim winning, let me know if you prefer, you know, whoever, front double, back double. Once again, this is my opinion. This is what I think. This is what I believe. I'm not saying Nick is gonna beat him. Just when I'm looking at two physiques and I'm looking at them and this is the pose and that's a pose, I don't know, man. Like, you know, this particular physique, which is Nick Walker, in my opinion, he wins, and that's all I have. My opinion. Don't crucify me, guys. You can let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. So anyways, guys, quick video. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like, share, comment down below. If you do want to see more comparisons, for example, Nick Walker versus Justin Luis Rodriguez, or Nick Walker versus Sergio, or Sergio does do the show, I don't even know. If you do want to see it down below, let me know and I'll do a video of it, guys. So anyways, I'll see you next time. Subscribe, like I said, and anyways, bye-bye.